We all know Google, right? I mean, most of us probably use it every single day. It's not just a company, it's practically a verb, a part of our daily lives. But what if I told you there's something hiding in plain sight that's way, way bigger? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into. So let's just ask the question straight up. What on earth is bigger than Google? It's kind of a trick question, actually, because the answer is the company that owns Google. And that company's name is Alphabet. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly why this tech giant was created, how it's all put together, and what it really means for the future of, well, everything. To really get why Alphabet even exists, you first have to understand the problem it was designed to solve. And it's a funny kind of problem. It's the problem of being too successful. Google had become such a giant that it was at risk of getting slow and, boring. I mean, listen to co-founder Larry Page himself. He said that big companies tend to get comfortable doing the same thing, just making incremental changes. He saw that they were starting to play it safe instead of chasing those huge, game-changing ideas. And then he hits you with this. In the world of tech, being comfortable is basically a death sentence. To stay on top, you have to constantly be making those slightly crazy, uncomfortable bets. And that was the idea that sparked this massive change. So this is the puzzle they were facing. How does a company as massive as Google stay quick on its feet? How do you manage everything from a search engine to self-driving cars without losing your mind or focus? How do you keep making those big, ambitious bets? The answer they came up with was pretty radical. It wasn't about launching a new product. Nope. It was about creating a whole new company, a totally new structure designed to slingshot Google into a new era. And they moved fast. The plan was announced in August 2015, and by October, just a couple months later, Alphabet was officially the new parent company. Then, a few years down the road in 2019, the founders stepped back and handed the keys to both Google and Alphabet over to Sundar Pichai. A whole new chapter. So what is Alphabet really? Well, the official term is a conglomerate, a holding company. The easiest way to think about it is like a giant umbrella. Google is the biggest, most important thing under that umbrella, but it's now just one of many companies. The vision here was actually pretty simple and brilliant. First, make the main Google business, the one that makes all the money, more focused and accountable. Second, let all the other crazy, futuristic projects run free with their own leaders. This made investors happy because things were more transparent, and it let each CEO focus on their own mission. All right, so how does this whole collection of companies thing actually work in practice? Let's take a look at the anatomy of Alphabet. This table breaks it down perfectly. Over on the left, you've got Google. This is the cash cow, the engine, it's search, YouTube, Android, the cloud, all the stuff you know. And on the right, those are the other bets. These are the moonshots. Waymo's self-driving cars, Calico trying to solve aging, Wing's delivery drones. These are the high-risk, potentially world-changing ideas, all funded by Google's profits. And the name itself? Just brilliant. Larry Page explained it's got two meanings. First, Alphabet is a collection of letters, the foundation of language, which is at the heart of Google search. But it's also a little pun, an alphabet. An alpha in the finance world means a return on an investment that's better than the market average. It perfectly captures their whole mission. Okay, so that's the big idea. But did the experiment actually work? Let's check the report card. Because from a purely financial point of view, the results are, well, they're staggering. The growth was just explosive. Just a few years into this new structure, in January 2020, Alphabet walked right into the super exclusive trillion-dollar company club. But it didn't even slow down. Powered by its core search and cloud businesses, it doubled, blowing past a $2 trillion valuation by April 2024. And then, almost unbelievably, it crossed the $3 trillion mark in late 2025. I mean, that kind of scale puts it in a league with only a handful of companies on the entire planet. And look, this isn't just about the stock price. The actual money coming in, the revenue, tells the exact same story. It went from $90 billion in 2016 to over $350 billion in 2024. The main business is an absolute juggernaut, just printing money to fund all those wild alphabets. But let's be real, when you get that big, that powerful, it's not all smooth sailing. Being a titan of industry means you're going to face some titanic challenges.
One of the most talked about things was this subtle but really telling change in philosophy. Google's famous unofficial motto used to be "Don't be evil." Simple, right? But under the new alphabet structure, the official code of conduct says to do the right thing. For a lot of critics, that sounded like a shift from a clear, hard line to something a bit more flexible, a bit more corporate.
And boy, has the company faced some hurdles. We're talking massive antitrust lawsuits all over the world, with governments accusing it of being anti-competitive. There have been huge tech disputes, like when they sued Uber over self-driving car secrets, and they've run into serious accusations about their labor practices and, of course, data privacy. These challenges also have a very real human cost. In 2023, the company laid off 12,000 people. For a place that was famous for its amazing job security and perks, this was a massive shock to the system, hitting about 6% of its entire global workforce. So all of this brings us to the big final question, doesn't it? Is this alphabet model a brilliant blueprint for how to keep innovation alive inside a giant corporation, a way to fund the future? Or is it just a smarter, shinier blueprint for building a 21st century monopoly that's just too big and too powerful to challenge? That's the debate that's going to define its legacy.